name is Caroline, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a reversible summer crop top. And it's sort of a bandeau bustier top, but it doesn't require a zipper, and you just put elastic in the back, top, and bottom. And it's actually reversible, so I did alternating straps and fabric, and it's a really fun summer option. And I think it's quite easy to make. These directions in the tutorial will just help you to use your own measurements and make the perfect custom size for you. And this is what the back looks like with a crisscross. It's really basic and simple supplies to make this bustier crop top. You will want to get one or two fabrics. I'm going to do two, so I'm going to make this the outside and this the lining. But I'm going to make it reversible so that they will both be able to be worn as the shirt on top. And that'll be pretty simple to do if you want to follow along. Otherwise, you can do just one fabric and use it as the lining also. And I have like a yard here of this polka dot, and it's the same for the floral one too. You can definitely use way less. So you'll need maybe like a half yard to be safe if you're worried about making mistakes, or even a bit less. It doesn't take that much fabric to make this because it's just going to go right here. So I think these look cool together. I like mixing prints, and I like the idea of a polka dot and a floral. And so besides the fabrics, you'll want to have an ironing board, or if you have like a bigger one somewhere else, you can do that. And you'll want an iron just to straighten out the fabric and make it flatter. And you can use this optional light or something like it if you have dark lighting where you're working and you want to have like a really lit area while you're working on whatever table or floor surface you're using to cut and measure things. You'll want to have a ruler. This one is clear, and I like rulers like this because you can see what you're measuring, and this is 2 inches wide, and you can see through it, and that's really helpful because you can like make sure the fabric's not bunching up and lays flat, and you can see like exactly where you want to measure it, and you can use like any line in here if you want a certain amount of like 1/8 or 5/8. If you want like an exact measurement, you can make sure that's going along the fabric like perfectly straight the whole way. If it's like an unusual amount, it's easier than like marking off one side and then moving the ruler and marking the other side. So I'm sure you've done that if you have a wooden or plastic one. And you will want pins. I like to use huge pins. I like these giant ones. Can you see that? And they're actually like quilting pins, I think, but I like them, and my professors, especially at FIT, would always tell me not to use them because A, it's harder and more risky to sew through it with a machine, but I like them especially for cutting out because they're really big and easy to use, and not that it's like that much harder to use the smaller ones, but if you want, you can use the silver ones, like the little tiny ones, or ones with a smaller top than this, or a thinner pin. And I mean, you can use whatever kind of pins you like, but I just like these because they're really easy, and if you throw them on the floor, they're really easy to see, and if you have one on the floor, you can easily spot it and not step on it, so do not step on pins if you can avoid it. That hurts. And you'll want elastic. Yay! And I should have gotten black actually for these fabrics, but I forgot to get some from the store for this, so I'm just gonna use white, and it won't show, it's fine. And you can use like either a thicker one like this or a thinner one. It just depends on whatever. You'll just have to make a casing to fit it, and I'll explain how to do that. You could use lace if you want. Like if you want to do that for the straps or something, feel free to be creative. You can just sew that inside where the lining and the top fabric meet. It's up to you. I don't think I'll use that. I think it would look pretty, but it'll be too much with all the things going on. But it would definitely look cool, so if you like that and want it to be really feminine. You need scissors, and I also like to have tiny scissors near the sewing machine, or just to cut threads when I'm taking something out. And you'll want to have a measuring tape. That's really important to measure you around here when you're creating your measurements to make like a really easy little kind of pattern thing. And chalk So this one is good for because it shows up on the black fabric. But if you have a really light fabric, then get a blue or black chalk. And oh, don't use chalk if you have a really silky fabric, but I don't recommend silky fabrics for this. I chose to use cotton, by the way, but if you are if you have a larger cup size up here, then you might want to use a stretchy fabric, or you can just make your own darts or do seams going down. But this is a really simple design, a really easy, quick crop top, so I'm not going to explain how to do that. But if you have a question below, I can or you can just Google online, I mean, how to make a dart, or if you know how to do that, then put that in, and it'll be easy to do. And you'll want seam ripper, and you might want a pencil. I don't think it'll really show up on this fabric too well. Yeah, no. You might want a pencil, it depends. So yeah, I chose to use cotton because it'll fit me. Pick a stretchy fabric or make darts if you're worried about getting something that just has elastic in the back part of it over your head. So first of all, you'll want to iron your fabric. Just do this. La la la. And iron your other one too. And if you like, you can have a mannequin. If you have one, you can use it just to kind of decide the shape that you want it. I don't think I'll use it for this because I'm just going to show you guys how to do it just by measuring yourself. You want to take your measuring tape. You want to go about the place that you want your crop top to start. So the side seam to the side seam, mine is 16. So remember that. And then about the place you want it to end on the bottom, mine is 14. So I'm going to flip the camera over for part of this so you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm wondering if this clear ruler was a bad idea. And you'll also want to measure from about the place to the place that you want it. So for me, I think 7 inches down will be good, but you will want to add seam allowance, so don't forget about that. If you're doing a tutorial or something, like me, or teaching someone, you might not want to use a clear ruler. You might want to use a ruler they can see. You'll want to make a rectangular shape that is the 3 measurements that you said, and use one of the ends of the fabric, definitely. So mine is 14 that way. For the casing, you will have to have a couple extra inches just to be safe, and then you can trim it down. So I'm going to add 2 extra inches on the bottom for the casing. So I'm going to start on the bottom and go 2 inches. And I'm going to make a line on those 2 inches so I know that will be the place that won't show. You can just draw a line straight across, and it's not going to show. You can sew up above that line a little bit. So then I will go 7 inches up. And nothing has to be perfect. It's okay for these kinds of projects to kind of be a little bit loosey-goosey on them. You're not going to be on Project Runway or something with this, so it's okay. I wouldn't stress out about it unless it's for a school assignment, I am selling it, or I am going to put it in my portfolio. And then I'm going to want to draw a line up from that line I made on the bottom where I did the 14 inches on the bottom. So I want to draw that line up all the way. Then my other measurement was 16, so I'm going to put an inch over on each side. And this is 14 from here to here with the lines I made, but I'll add an inch here and an inch here. And that's not the seam allowance yet, that's just where my measurement was on the top part. 16 inches. And you can make a line there. Now, if your crop top is here and here, and you want it a little bit bigger, feel free to add a little bit more. You can add another inch or something of space, and I think I'm going to do that. I think I'll add an inch more. So in a case like this, you want to rub off the chalk with your spit, or just kind of wipe it off, and it'll come off in the washing machine, so it's not a big deal. So you want to connect the line of where you added your seam allowance Okay, so then you want to add another, we'll just do an inch on the top for seam allowance. I usually sew with 5/8, and that's what most patterns say by like Simplicity or Vogue Patterns, but I think that it will be good to do an inch just to make it really easy for anybody watching. So you're going to want to make a diagonal line from the bottom here of your bottom seam allowance up to the top of your top seam allowance, and you're going to want to make the points from where your 14 mark and your 16 mark start meet, but you can draw the line, the ruler line, up past there into your seam allowance. But where your actual bustier top and bottom meet is where you want the ruler to go through, right like that. And then you're going to want to go an inch over and mark it, and then connect this here, and that's your inch seam allowance. And don't worry about being a little bit sloppy. I would rather have you have a fun time and enjoy yourself than freak out. So do the same thing on the other side. So let me explain what your seam allowance is. It'll be an inch on the top, it'll be an inch on the side, diagonally, and then you'll have 2 inches on the bottom to make the elastic case and finish the bottom. So now you can cut it out. This is actually going to be a sweetheart neckline, so what we're going to do at the end, once we have everything sewn, is gather it here, and just like a couple stitches lines down, and it'll create this really pretty kind of curved illusion, but we just did it straight on the top, and it was so much easier than making some sort of shape, and you can do that if you want to, but you don't have to at all, and you can still get that by gathering it. So if you want to use a mannequin and do a shape, you can draw it on there, or do something more like V on the top, V shape, you can do that, and then you can also gather it in the middle, but it depends how advanced you are and if you want to just follow along step by step or not. Now the back shape isn't quite as important because your back can be more exposed, so you might want to have someone help you do this. It's a little bit hard. 15. So the length that you'll want it on your back is right above where your bra starts in the back, down, and you don't want it too far. 6 inches in the back compared to the 8 I ended up doing instead of 7 in the front. So for the back piece, we're just going to basically make a rectangle because it's going to be gathered, and the shape isn't as important as in the front where we want it to look more fitted. So not including any of the seam allowance, you're just going to make a rectangle. So my measurements are 15 by 6. So it's 15, but I'm going to add 3 inches on either side for leeway because it's gathered and you want to make sure you can get it off and on easily, and the back is the part that's really going to stretch and make a difference. So on the back, I'm going to go up 2 inches for the casing that will be on the back with the elastic. And then go up 6 inches past the casing, so 8 total. After you add a 1 inch seam allowance all the way around your rectangle, you can cut it out. And then you just want to pin and cut out pieces for the lining, or if you want to make it interchangeable for that, just pin it down. The tracing and everything takes like a lot of time compared to the actual sewing part. Same thing on the front, pin it down, cut it out. You have your 4 pieces, so the front and the inside and the back.